Hello and welcome to this Treehouse workshop. I'm Andrew and today we're going to talk about Cucumber, a BDD or behavior-driven development testing framework. Sometimes in client meetings you come out on the same page with your client. Well, hopefully you are every time. But as the development progresses in your application development and the client sees the app, sometimes there's a miscommunication on what needs to be done. So Dan North came up with this idea of behavior-driven development. And there's three main principles in behavior-driven development, and you can check those out on behaviordriven.org. And the first principle is business and technology should refer to the same system in the same way. Basically, the words that you use as a developer and as the business owner or the project owner should be the same language. There shouldn't be anything really technical. Everyone should understand what's going on in the software. Principle number 2 is that any system should have an identified, verifiable value to the business. So this idea is that you shouldn't be developing anything that doesn't add value to the business. And once you've identified it, it's got to be verifiable that this actually does produce value for the business, because you're in the business to stay in business, right? And to make money. So if you're wasting time on stuff that isn't valuable to your consumer and therefore you as a business, you should really scrap that idea. And then the third principle is that the upfront analysis, design and planning all have diminished return. So the idea there is that you can't really predict everything that's going to happen in the future. You can't predict all possible futures. So just really focus on the minimum viable product and get it out there for real users to test. So in short, BDD relies on the use of a very specific and small vocabulary to minimize miscommunication and ensures that everyone understands, so whether if that's the business owners, the developers, testers, analysts and managers, so that they're not only on the same page, but use the same words. And Cucumber is a framework that enables you to just do that. So if you go to cucs.info, there is the Cucumber homepage. On here, it shows you the basic overview of what Cucumber is. So you define a feature and then scenarios. And each scenario has sets of steps, and you implement the step definition, and then you start running these steps as you would in a testing framework. BDD doesn't supersede any testing framework per se. It's really the best practices of testing, just manifest in plain English. So today we're going to create an anonymous blog where users can comment and post their own posts for a business owner or a site operator to monetize and make money from all the lovely people coming to read these interesting anonymous articles. So what I'm going to do is jump into my console and make sure I'm using the right version of Ruby, even 1.9.3, and let's just do gem install Rails just to make sure we've got the right version of Rails installed, all up to date. So now I'm going to type Rails new anony blog to create my new application. And whilst it's doing its thing, I'm going to jump over to the Cucumber Rails gems documentation. So Cucumber can also be used in other languages like Java, .NET, and it's been translated into other languages as well, not just English. But we're going to use a specific gem called Cucumber Rails. And for installation in Rails 3 projects, we need to include the Cucumber Rails gem and the database cleaner. So I'm just going to copy that. Yeah, actually, I'm going to open up Sublime, the Anony blog. Okay, so if we jump into our gem file and then paste in the test group gems and jump back to our terminal and cd into our Anony blog folder and then bundle install, we've installed Cucumber. So if we jump back to the documentation, and then it says to run Rails generate Cucumber install. So that's what we'll do next. And as you can see, it's created a features folder. So this is where we'll be writing our plain text features and a bunch of other files too. So let's go back to Sublime and jump into our features folder. And in here, I'm going to create a new file called blogging.feature. And at the top of a feature file, you need to specify a feature. And you do it by saying feature : and then what the feature is, a general description, so blogging. And then I'm going to say the value in order to monetize content. As a site operator, I want people to be able to create a blog post. So these features could be anyone in the business who or a user on the system from their perspective. So as this site operator, I want people to be able to generate content for me, so I can like add word all over the place, so I can generate money. So the feature is a non-executed step. It's just for a little bit of background. The next thing we're going to define is a scenario, which is executed. So scenario, and then we'll call this creating a blog post. And under each scenario, there's a step, and they all have these special keywords. So the first special keyword is given, which is to talk about the assumptions of the test. So given I am on the home page. So if you've noticed, we haven't even developed any Ruby on Rails code at all. We're just writing the test, the actual scenarios that we want to have in the system. So we're not committing to anything right now other than this is what we want it to do. And instead of writing given again, you can use the keyword and, which can be used in combination with these other keywords that I'm going to show you later. So given I am on the home page and I follow new post. So imagine that on this home page, there's a new post button or a link. When I click on it, it will take me through to a form that I need to fill in. So I can do when. So this is the test case. So when I perform a certain action. So when I fill in title with hello world, and, so I'm using and again, but it's when and then and, so rather than given and I fill in body with this is my first post, and I press publish, then I should see hello world, and I should see this is my first post. So this is saying, like, when we press the publish button, I should be able to see hello world, and this is my first post. So as a business owner or site operator, I understand this language here, and most people would understand this language who are dealing with websites. So we're using very similar expressions as we're going through this scenario. And I forgot to mention that I used a then keyword, which is also a special keyword to test these assumptions when I when I've performed a particular action, and then I've used the combination and again there. So what do we need to do? Well, we go back to our terminal, and when we install Cucumber, it's created a rake task called Cucumber. So when I type rake Cucumber, it says the database doesn't exist yet, so rake db migrate. And let's do rake Cucumber. And as you can see, all of these steps are yellow, and that's because these steps are undefined. Now, as you noticed at the bottom here, Cucumber has given us some examples of steps and how to implement them. So let's copy and paste these and then jump into our step definitions and create a new file. So let's call these general steps.rb. And I'm just going to post those in there. And I'm just going to grab this one step here where it says I'm on the home page, and I'm going to create a new step definition file called pathsteps.rb. And then paste that in there and save. So as you can see, we've got a block with given, when, and then, and a expression or regular expression here, which captures special keywords that are in the step. So, for example, given I follow something, so I'm going to, instead of calling it arg1 because Cucumber doesn't know what it's going to be, I'm going to call this link name. And there's a special keyword pending. And here, when I fill in, I'm going to put field and then with value. And then when I press button name, and then I should see content. So instead of just having those arg1s and arg2s, I've just made it a little bit more clearer. And here, I don't need to do anything because I'm not looking for a particular phrase. So if you're not familiar with regular expressions, I encourage you to go and look into those in greater detail. But just imagine like I'm repeating myself. I follow when I click on several links, or I fill in several forms. These are regular expressions, they're regular sentences, and we can get the program to grab the specific values in these quotes. And then we can test for those things. Now, when I run that test again, rake Cucumber, you can see that instead of suggesting now, it just says that I need to implement this given I'm on the homepage. Now, Cucumber uses something called Capybara, which is a way for moving around a web page in code. So if we look at the documentation here, we can see that there's special keywords called fill in, click link, visit, and that's the one that we really want to use right now. So we want to visit the home page. So if we copy visit and then jump into our code, go into our paths, and then type visit, and then / which is the homepage URL. So when we run this test now, when I do rake Cucumber, it passes. Next, it says when I follow a new post, it says this needs to be implemented. So if we go back to the Capybara website, and there's a thing called click link, and it takes a string, which is the link name. So let's copy click link, jump into our general steps, and implement our steps. So click link, link name. And then let's run that again and see what happens. And it's red. It says unable to find link new post. We haven't written any code yet, so that's what we need to do now. So in our home page, we need to create a link with new post. So if we take a look in our public folder and delete the index.html, which Rails by default puts in there. But in Rails 4, that's not going to be there at all, so you don't have to worry about it. So I've deleted that, and let's go to our roots folder, file, config file, and we'll do root 2, and we'll call it posts, because we want the index of our post controller to list the posts. And in our layouts file, which is in app, views, layouts, application, and then let's create a nav element here, being all HTML5 and that, and do a link to new post path and new post, and save that. And then let's run our tests again. And as you can see, it says uninitialized constant post controller. So this is really holding our hand, telling us what we need to do next. So let's do Rails G controller posts. So this is generating our post controller for us. So let's rate Cucumber again. And it says it can't find the index action on post controller. So let's jump into our post controller. Hit save, and then write Cucumber again. So it's missing a template, index. So let's jump into our views, posts, new file, save it, index.html.erb. You'll be starting to think now and starting to see how this development process is working out. It's like I'm not having to think because we've already specified what we need to do. It's just going through each step and it's telling me what to do every single time. It's like developing by itself, which is awesome. So let's run those tests again. And when we get past all this stack trace, it says local variable or method undefined. And this is a root. So when we do rake roots, we've only got the root path. So let's go to our roots config file. And as you can see, we've only defined the root URL. So let's do resources posts. And then when we do rate roots now, you can see we've got all the various roots there. So when I do rate Cucumber now, it's given us a different error saying that the new action hasn't been defined yet. So let's jump back into our post controller and we'll do def new. And then we know what's going to happen next is it says it can't find the template for new html.erb. And then let's run rate Cucumber again. So now we're starting to do a couple of steps in a row because we know we're anticipating what the test is going to do. But the idea is that you don't write any code that you don't have to do, what doesn't bring value to the business. So there's this step here where I fill in. So let's jump into our general steps and let's implement this. So Capybara, if we jump back to their documentation, you can see there's a fill-in and then the label name and with the value. So let's copy that and then let's jump back to our steps file. So when we fill in field with the value, it should populate those fields for us. So let's run it again. And now it says unable to find the field title. That's because we haven't done a form yet. So we're going to use something called simple form, which is a gem for Rails to create simple forms. So if we jump into our gem file and do gem simple form and then do bundle install, boom, and then go to our new form. Let's just do h1 new post and then simple form for post, do, and then we'll call the variable for the form f, and that. And let's do f.input, which is the special keyword for simple form, and we'll do title. So we're not going to do any more than it's asked us to yet, so let's do rate cucumber. So if we scroll up past all that stack trace, it goes a model name for nil class. So this is nil, because any form helper looks for the model name on an active model class. So let's jump into our posts controller, and let's do post equals post.new. So click on save, hit return, and it says uninitialized constant post. So that's because we don't have the post model created. So let's do Rails, G for generate, model, post, where the title is a string and the body is a text. So if we hit enter, rake db migrate, and then rake cucumber, let's see what happens. As you can see, the title is now filled in. Next, the body. It can't find the body. And define f.input body. Let's run our test again. Now it's asking us to implement the iPress step. So let's jump into our general steps. And then we need to implement that step here. So we need to click the button name. So let's do button name and see what happens. Or undefined method click. Let's jump back to the Capybara documentation. So button, is there a button? Click button. So it's actually click button. So let's jump back to our test. Replace click with click button, button name, and then run again. This is unable to find the button publish. That's because we haven't done the button publish. So let's jump back into our new and then do f.button submit, and then let's call it publish, and then run the test again. And it says we don't have a create action. So let's implement that now. So let's go to posts controller and then def create, and then we'll do post equals post.new params post, and then post.save, and then let's redirect to the post as well. Run the test. Oh, redirect is an invalid method because it is. Redirect to, not sudo reboot. Where did that come from? Rate cucumber. There we go. Okay, so we don't have a show action. Let's implement that. Def show. So let's do post equals post.find by params id. And then let's go to our posts and create show.html.erb. And because we know that the next test will be expecting to find the post.title and the body, so let's just do that now. Simple format. Post.body. Rate cucumber. Okay, it says then I should see hello world. We haven't implemented that step yet. So once we've implemented this step, we'll have created a very simple but effective way for testing our forms and testing for content. So let's go back to the Capybara documentation and let's look for content. So a page has content question mark. So let's copy that. And because this returns a true or false value, we need to assert whether if this is true or false. So if page has content, it would return true or false. So let's do assert, which is what you'd use in a test framework. Actually, it's using Minitest under the hood here. So let's do rate cucumber. And as you can see, all these steps are passing now. We've started defining the language, defining the steps, so that when we add more content to these features, we can reuse these steps over and over again. So it can be quite painful initially, but once you get over the hump, things start to look better. So I've got some more features here set up for blogging. Open this in Sublime, copy and paste those, and paste them into the blogging feature. So here we have a few more steps to look at. So we want to check this. This is the scenario we want to check, creating an invalid blog. So when I go to the home page, follow new post, and don't enter a title, but I enter in a body, and I click on publish, I should see can't be blank. This is a error message that simple form shows. So when I fill in the title and then empty the body and click on publish, it should say can't be blank on the body that time. So when I fill in the body, that implies the title's still filled in, and I click on publish, I should see a published post. So I'm going to use a new annotation up here called work in progress. So when I run rake cucumber whip, it will only run the scenarios that are work in progress. So instead of running all those features over and over again, we're just seeing this. So what's happening here? Well, it's a bit obtuse at the moment. So let's introduce a new step that we can use for debugging. So just before the failing test happens, let's include a new step to show me the page. So let's jump back into here and then say, and then show me the page. Maybe not then, because that's a keyword, and show me the page. Let's do that. So rake cucumber whip, and let's copy that step definition for us to general steps. And let's have a look at Capybara. So let's look at debugging. So Capybara provides save and open page. So let's copy that and jump back into our Sublime. Save and open the page. And let's run this test again. As you can see, it says, please install LaunchGem. Okay, so let's do that. Jump into our gem file. And let's put it into our test group. And then bundle install. And then rake cucumber whip. And it's opened the page. So as you can see, it's creating a post. That's not what we want. We want it to validate the presence of the title and the body. So let's jump back into our Sublime editor and go to post. And let's do validates title. Presence is true. And let's, while we're at it, because we know it's looking for the body as well. And do that, save. And then rake cucumber whip. Oh, what's going on here? Presence validator. Let's double check. We can't see blank because it's not doing anything. We're not actually showing the form. So if we jump into our posts controller and do an if statement here, so if post save will redirect to the post, so if it's valid, else we will render the new form again. So let's run that rake cucumber whip again, and I've spelt render wrong, so it will fail. Let's do it again. So there we have it. So it says can't be blank, and if we look at all these steps, they're passing. Great. So sometimes when you're working like this, it can get a little bit confusing because you're not actually clicking through the process yourself. You're getting this system automated. And we don't want that page to load up every time, so let's get rid of that step and go to our feature and get rid of that step. But now that's been implemented, we can use that again if we need to debug in the future. Now let's take a look at this next scenario called listing articles. It says, I have the following posts. And as you can see, there's this new structure here, and it's a table with the title and bodies of 2 posts. So given I've got my first post and my second post, when I'm on the home page, the second post should be listed first. So it should be going from the newest first down to the oldest. So when I follow the second post link, I should see the second post's post. And when I follow the home page, I should be back on the home page. So let's do Rate Cucumber Whip again. And we've got some new things to implement here. So these 2 steps here are related to the post. So let's just copy that and create a new step definition file called post steps, because we're going to keep our code nice and compartmentalized. So post steps. Save that. And then there was this last one here about a path. So let's go to path steps and post this in here. So let's assert that the current path is the same as slash. So that's that step implemented. And let's run Cucumber Whip again. So this following posts step has not been implemented. So let's do that next. So when we jump into our post steps, it says that this table here, this table of data, is a Cucumber AST table. So let's check the documentation on that. So pop that into Google, click on that here, and you can see the methods that are on this particular object. There's one thing called hashes here, which shows that it returns an array of hashes, and we can use Active Record to pass in these hashes in order to create these posts. So let's go to our post definition and cycle over the table for hash in table dot hashes, and then we can do post dot create and then hash. So that passes in the body and title for each one of those rows. So there's 1 hash per row with the keys and values. So let's save that and then do Rate Cucumber Whip again. And then we need to implement this. My second post should be listed first. The regular expression is capturing the title here, so I'm going to do title. But also notice that these 2 steps are very similar. So I'm going to get rid of this last step, and then I'm going to use another similar regular expression here to capture the position. So what we can do is we can look using Capybara to find all the H1 elements on our listing page. So let's do that now. So we can do all H1 dot each H1 do, and then we're going to pass in I as an index. So the index that's been passed in by Ruby is a 0-based index. So we can do if position is equal to first, which is this captured expression here, and I is equal to 0, then we can assert equals h1.text, so that's the text of the h1, is equal to the title that's captured by the regular expression here. So we can do else if position is equal to second and I is equal to 1, which is 0 based for the second in the array of h1s, we can assert equals h1.text is equal to the title as well. Let's run that step again. And it says unable to find the link to my second post. So let's jump into our index.html and let's do for post in posts. And let's do h1. And let's do link to post.title, comma, post. So this should list all the posts as h1s. And as you can see, we've got something going on here. Oh, that it says each on nil class. So let's jump back to our posts index and do posts is equal to post dot all, and then do it again. And it says it's unable to find the home link. So let's go back to our layouts, and then we can link to home root path. So that's using the Rails special keyword. Let's run that again. And then it should be on the homepage, and it passes. Let's take a look at our application as it stands using Rails S. So let's jump into our homepage and let's create a new post. This is my first post. Hello. And publish. Let's go back home. This is my first post. Let's create a second post. This is my second post. Hello. And let's go to the home page. But as you can see, there's something not quite right here. There must be something wrong with our testing assumptions because our first post is first and our second post is second. So sometimes, even when we're trying to do the best thing here, it doesn't add up. So let's deconstruct what's going on here. I can see that I've missed an equal sign there. I wonder if that's anything to do with it. So let's do rate cucumber whip. And it's still passing, and we know it should fail because the first post is listed first, not the second. Let's try and log out some information here. So let's assert equals that the title is, so we're hoping that the title of the first step should be my, what was it? My second post. So let's do my second post. Assert equals. It says is undefined method assert equals. So we can see that this here is not even being triggered by this all. So maybe this all method is incorrect here. But I should be able to assert equals. Okay, so in Minitest, it's not assert equals, it's actually assert equal. So let's assert equal that all H1s should be, the length of it should be 2. Just as a quick sanity check. So let's rate cucumber whip. So it's equaling 2, but for some reason it's not going in here correctly. So let's assert equal h1.text is equal to, say, blah. It should fail. So yeah, it should say expected my first word but was blah. So that's okay. So let's just go to our code in our posts controller and let's just reverse the order. So order created at, and we want it to descend. So let's run rate cucumber whip, because that's the code that we should be expecting, and it's passing. Don't do Rails S again. Take a look at our local host, and my second post is first. The first post is second. So that's as it should be. But we've got something wrong with our test, and we need to make sure that our it's almost like you need a test for your tests. So let's take a look at this. And the issue is that each should have each with index, which is the Ruby method to pass in the thing that you're iterating over with its index. So if we run this test now, cucumber whip, we can see that it was expecting the second post first, not the first post. So if we jump into our post controller and do order by created at and then descend all, do another rate cucumber whip, and it's not passing. Let's boot up the Rails server and see if what we're expecting is happening. And it is. So there's something wrong with the logic somewhere. Let's just run rate cucumber whip again, just to double check where we're at. So was expecting the first post, but was second post. Let's double check. If the position is first and is equal to 0, let's check what this all actions doing. So let's do assert equal 0 and I, and assert equal h1.text, and it should be my second post. So this should pass on the first iteration. And let's do rate cucumber whip. It's not. It's saying expected 0 but was 1. So each with index. Let's double check the documentation for it. So let's check if this is a 0 based index or not. So 0. It doesn't say it's 0 based, so let's double check by doing 1 and 2. Rate cucumber whip. And there we go. So each with index doesn't seem to be a 0 based index. I thought it was. So those are passing now. So if we take out the whip from our blogging feature now, like so, run rate cucumber whip, that we haven't got any with the whip annotation. So when we run rate cucumber by itself, there's 3 things pass. What's a blog without comments? Not a blog at all, or Daring Fireball, which is a blog, so I don't know why I said that. So let's create a comments feature, and we'll copy those comments from this folder here. We've got a feature for commenting. It says, in order to increase engagement on the site to monetize traffic, as a site operator, I want people to be able to comment on blog posts. And I've introduced a new thing called background. So background is something that gets ran before every scenario. So this background would create 2 posts, and it expects that I'm on the homepage, and when I follow the second post link, I should be able to fill in some form somewhere on there saying my name is Andrew and that the comment body is awesome. And when I press submit comment, I should be back on that my second post page with a comment by Andrew and my comment, my awesome comment. And if I follow the home link and I go to my first post, there shouldn't be a comment by me, and you shouldn't see my awesome comment. And then secondly, we've got this other scenario where we do an invalid comment, where if we don't fill in the name, but we fill in the body, it should say I can't be blank, and vice versa. And with the assumption that the form will be completely filled in on the error, and I only need to fill in the missing part. And once I submit that, I should be able to see comment by Andrew and my awesome comment. So I've just noticed we need to submit that comment, and I should be able to see those. So let's jump back to our console after we've just done whip on this creating a comment. So rake cucumber whip. And as you can see, there's two steps that haven't been defined yet. So let's copy those and let's jump first to our post step, because there's one for a particular post. I should be on the title of that particular post page, and I should not see. So this is a general step. So let's keep organized and let's call that content. And let's do a similar thing to has content, and we'll just put an exclamation mark to say has not got that content. And in our posts step, we can do something similar to our paths, where we assert equal current path is the same as the post path with the, I'm going to start up here so it's a little bit more legible. So post is equal to post dot where the title is the title, and we're going to get the first one that matches that. So we put post in there. So we're asserting that the current path of the page is the same as the post path. So we've implemented those two steps now. And when we do cucumber whip, we can address the first problem, that there isn't a field with the name, and I can't fill in the word Andrew. So let's jump to our show, because it's expecting a form here. And we will do a simple form for, and because it's supposed to be for a comment for a particular post, we're going to pass in the array of a post and a new comment. And let's run cucumber whip. And as you can see, it's saying model name is nil. That's because comment is a nil class again. So if we jump to our post controller and go to our show, what we can do here is just do comment is equal to comment.new. And you should be guessing now that the comment class hasn't been created yet. So there's an uninitialized constant comment. So we can do Rails G model comment, and because it's a nested belongs to structure, we're going to create a post ID with of an integer. We're going to create a name, which is a string, and we're going to create a body, which is text. Okay, so rake db migrate. Always remember to do that when you create a model. And when we do rake cucumber now, it will clone the development database into the test database. So I did rake cucumber, so it's showing loads of stuff. So let's do rake cucumber whip. so we're not bogged down with all these tests not failing. So if we scroll up to the top, it says can't find post comments path. So let's jump into our routes, and then let's do a nested resource. So resources, comments. So when we do rate routes now, it will show the comments route. So we don't need to do that. So I'm just running rate cucumber whip, and it says unable to find the field name. So once again, jump back into our form for the comment and do f.input name. And because I know there's going to be a body, and that'll be the next test, so we can start like combining these together. But don't get too carried away, because you may end up spending time on a feature that doesn't need implementing. And then f.button submit, and I can't remember the specific wording, so let me just jump to the commenting feature, and it's called submit comment. Okay, submit comment, and so when I click on submit comment, I should be on the post page, and I should see the comment. So let's see if we need to do anything. So it says uninitialized constant comments controller. Okay, so we need to generate it. So Rails G controller comments. As you can see, this has been created now. So let's run rate cucumber whip, and the more and more you get used to this, you'll understand, oh, create method. So let's create that. Comments def create, and so let's do comment is equal to, let's do post as well. So post is equal to post.find by params post ID, and then we can do post.comments.build with the params comment. And because we haven't set up the belongs to and has many relationship, we'll do that now. So a post has many comments, and a comment belongs to post. Okay, so if comment.save redirect to the post, because we want to be back on the post page, and else if there's an error, we'll do something in a second. So let's do rate cucumber whip. So it says that I should be on the second post page, which I am, but we're not displaying the comments yet. So let's go to our show page, and we will display the comments here. So let's do for comment in post.comments, and then we'll do a div for a comment as a nice little wrapper. And then we'll have a h2 with the percent equals comment by colon comment dot name yep, hit end the h2, and then do a simple format, which is a Rails helper, with comment dot body. Save that and rate cucumber whip. And as you can see, it follows it goes home, goes to the first post, and it can't see the comment by Andrew on that post. So as you can see, we've already been building up these steps, and once you've written them out, they pass a lot quicker as you're progressing through building your site. So let's check the last scenario out by just doing a whip over it and then rate cucumber whip. When I press submit, it says it can't be blank. So let's jump into our comment and let's do validates name, presence. I'll spell it right first time this time. And validates body as presence true as well. So let's run this again. And it's saying missing template comments create. So let's take a look at our comments controller. Well, that's because when it's valid, it tries to render the create method. But since we've already defined post and comments, we can just render the same form from the posts in the show action. So let's do rake cucumber whip, and it passes. So let's finally remove the whip and then test all of our features and scenarios. And everything's passing. So the final test is to boot up our Rails server, go to localhost 3000. Let's create a comment. Andrew, really cool post. And as you can see, it said a comment by Andrew. And if I submit, it says it must be filled in. So it's working as we expect it to. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me build a website using Cucumber and behavior-driven development. It just goes to show that after the initial pain of the setup, building out the site, it gets a little bit faster and you can maybe take a few of those steps all in one go. So whether if you're building a project yourself or for you and your business partner or even for your client, it really helps to minimize miscommunications so that you're all on the same page using the same language and hopefully be building the same product in the end. My name's Andrew Chalkley and you've been watching a Treehouse Workshop. If you've enjoyed this workshop, you'll also enjoy the others that we have to offer on teamtreehouse.com.